All right, we get to be Jen and Jana here at Lush Leaves today. And Jen, I'm so happy that you're here because I've decided to take the step and become a green thumb gardener, except for currently all the plants in my house are plastic. So you're gonna have to help me out and tell me how I can start off and not murder everything that I buy today.
That's an easy transition. You can start very simply. I think there's probably everybody out there knows snake plants, and there is a ton of different varieties. These are just 3. They're considered pretty indestructible. Not that you can't kill them, but you have to work a little harder to do so. And as you can see, they grow pretty rapidly and reproduce on their own. Look at this little baby sleep.
I love that they're already jumping out here, and it's great because you have the same plant, but it looks like they're all different colors and textures. How do you identify those?
Well, we have to identify them. This is your most common variety. This is what you would see in yards even here. This is Zeylonica, and it is super hardy, super easy, can be planted in the ground, can be propagated by a leaf. It can go in several different areas with little to almost no care. The less care you give it, the better it does.
So really this plant was made for me.
It's as close to plastic as you can get. Right? There's another variety here. This is little tiny one up here is a Haworthia, which is a succulent. And that family of plants is typically very hardy as well. That is, again, the less care that you give it, the less water. When I'm talking about care, specifically water, that will thrive for you and be long-lived.
Now, in terms of, I know you said water, but in terms of sunlight and positioning, where do we want these guys to live in our home? Do we want them near a window? Do we want them near a door, near an entryway? Or do they prefer to kind of hide in the corner in the shade?
This plant family can tolerate several different types of lighting. So you can go from deep shade. When I say that, I don't mean a room with no windows, except for a short time period. You can leave a plant like that in a room for maybe up to a month, and then it has to go get a break. Sunlight is necessary for growth. Low light to high light, even some full sun, preferably morning hours before the heat of the day. Your succulents can be transitioned into full sun. They're grown in partial shade, so that's what they're used to. And they will throw a little bit of a tantrum. You'll see redding on the leaves as they transition. Once they do, they're very happy in full sun. Higher light, the better. Your rubber trees, you're gonna do high light. They can go into full sun directly or into part shade. And they can be planted directly in the ground also. They're a super vigorous grower in this area.
And this is something that you mentioned to me before we started, that this was actually from a tree in your backyard. And what did you call it, a top cutting?
Yep, it's a top cutting. So for somebody who's just starting out, you can start with purchasing an entire plant, or you can propagate your own plant. And we recommend starting with something like this because it is easy. You honestly will cut it, let the wound callus over, and that simply means let it sit out in a dry area and let that cut seal itself, and you can stick it right in dirt. Now, it does take months sometimes for roots, but it will take root and grow into a beautiful plant.
So patience with our plants, we definitely love that. It's a great tip. And then after you've started with me in this beginner greenhouse plant family, you can graduate to something a little bit more mature. Now, Jen, I know that you said this guy takes a little more care and attention. It's a little bit of a diva, but what a great addition to your garden.
It is a great addition, and the funny part about that plant is, truthfully, the less care, the better. Our problem as plant growers is we want to overlove them, regardless of knowing that. Anytime we pass by, if one is a little bit wrinkled, we want to take care of it and feed it. That plant truly thrives on absolute neglect. The more neglectful you are, the more successful you are with it. So you're looking at watering that every 6 to 8 weeks.
So it's actually the opposite of what I was thinking. I thought that this would be a little bit more high maintenance, but maybe this is my first baby.
We tend to be the high maintenance one in that relationship. We want to overlove it, and that is the quickest way to fail. So it's important to remember that any plant that you begin with, it is very difficult to recover from overwatering. You are far better to underwater and let your plant tell you when it's thirsty than you are to overwater. Overwatering causes root rot and damage, and it's almost a lost cause at that point. So go easy on the watering. Space them out, water well, let them dry.
Those are great tips because I know I'm always a drowner. I feel bad. I'm always the drowner. So I want to make sure that I take care of my new babies. Thank you so much for setting me up with a great beginner kit. If you guys want to come and get your hands a little bit dirty and add some green to your space, make sure you check out at Lush Leaves 77. You guys do a great job of keeping us up to date on your calendar and all the fun events you do. There's so much more here than plants. Jen, thank you so much for having me again.
Oh, I thought we were trying to